Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for letting people know I was the only one in my department not invited to coworkers' wedding when they were told I couldn't attend? So a woman in my department got married. Everyone in the department, 10, excluding bride, was invited except for me. I was personally told the wedding was being kept small as they didn't want to spend extravagantly. The others were told that I couldn't attend. At a department meeting following the wedding when the bride was back from the honeymoon, everyone was talking about the wedding. A coworker commented it was a shame I couldn't attend. I remarked that I wasn't even invited. I could see the bride's face visibly change, and now she is mad at me and our working relationship is cordial at best. To further this, our department had a dinner and celebration for her and I contributed to the gift. The date was selected and changed based on others' availability, but I couldn't attend due to a trip overseas I had planned last year. It wasn't even discussed if it could be changed so I could attend. The person organizing it was another coworker and her best friend. I think this other coworker and not the bride herself is the one behind my exclusion for some reason unbeknownst to me. So am I the a-hole for clarifying that I was never even invited in front of the whole department that was told that I couldn't attend? Top comments. Info: why would the bride have chosen to exclude you in particular? What might have happened in the past between you two that could have caused her to exclude you? I don't think you're an a-hole for saying you weren't invited, it's the truth, but I do wonder what the backstory is here. Opie replies. No backstory. We had a really good work relationship, everyone in department gets along. No idea why the exclusion. The other coworker, who is her best friend, seems to not like me and I have no idea why. I've been working with them for 4 years and they were already here for a few years together before that. And it's not like I took a job they should have gotten because they don't have the skills to do the job I do, and that's not even a question. They aren't on that level and won't be. They do more admin type work. Not the a-hole. Same thing happened to me. Every other woman in the office invited to a baby shower. I only knew because someone suggested we ride together. I was friends with the mother, but this was when I discovered that the host, another coworker, didn't want my kind in her home. The mother said she felt bad I was excluded but really needed all shower gifts, so she said/did nothing. So the bride in this post may not have excluded Opie, but she sure as hell knew about it. Too bad if she feels awkward now. Be cordial, do your job, but remember these are not your actual friends. Not the a-hole. You told the truth, you weren't invited. Why should you lie about that fact? There is something else going on, though. Which seems weird to me. You might want to preemptively inform your HR rep of this, in case it blows up into something bigger. Edited to fix a typo. A random / I accidentally included. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making a dessert with my 2-year-old for a potluck? We had a potluck at work last week. I made this delicious brownie and cookie concoction with a caramel sauce. When I made it, my 2-year-old was by my side and helping as much as he could. When I put the dish out at the potluck, I added a sign that my son helped make it. I thought that was the right thing to do in case people had an issue with it. A coworker who has made it known does not like kids. She has complained to HR about my kid being around at the end of the day for 15 to 30 minutes. This coworker approached me and said that it wasn't fair that I made a dish that she wouldn't eat. I told her I just made the dish, I'm not concerned with who did and didn't eat it. She said that making a dish that wasn't made in a safe way and bringing it is not okay. I felt like providing the sign was enough to allow people to make their own decisions. She called me an a-hole and I felt like she was blowing this way out of proportion. But am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your coworker is just an a-hole. If you want all of your food to be prepared as if the state health inspector supervised the whole thing, you shouldn't eat anything at a potluck, not just the one dish where someone was upfront about the circumstances in which it was made. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't eat it, but I wouldn't make a fuss about it either. To be honest, I generally skip out on potlucks when I don't have a pretty good idea of the kitchen hygiene of all involved. Yeah, kids are kinda gross and have a tendency to put fingers in their nose and mouth and back into food. But so do some adults. And some people let pets on the counter. Or don't wash their hands prior to preparing food or after using the toilet. Potlucks are a hygiene crapshoot regardless of whether kids are involved. I have to ask, did you create this sign purposely to trigger that coworker? Because I don't understand why you would make such a sign. If the food was made in a safe manner, that was completely pointless. You are the a-hole. Everyone sucks here except the 2-year-old. Coworker is being overly dramatic. Potlucks are gross and dangerous for people with allergies/intolerances. 2 years old should not help with food intended for people outside the home. 2 years old should definitely not be at work unless it's a daycare, but you said it's an office because you're being paid to work, not watch your 2 years old. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my wife that I had surgery 30+ years ago? I, 37M, was born with umbilical hernia, like a bulge or lump type thing where the belly button is, and got surgery on it when I was 4. So besides my immediate family and some preschool kids who could be anywhere in the world right now, no one really knows about that. I was clearing out my end table, I found old baby pictures that I didn't even know I had. My mom was a 90s Facebook mom when it came to pictures, and I put most of them in a pile. When my wife came to the room and saw them, her first question was what the F that lump on my stomach was, and I told her it was the umbilical hernia thing. Her follow-up question was how it went away, and I told her I had surgery on it. Her mood changed, and she started asking a lot of why questions. Like, why didn't you tell me you had this, or why didn't you tell me you had this? And my answers were A, how would I bring that up, and B, my medical history is my business and my business only. She got pretty mad at that second one, and ended the discussion there. Now over this stupid argument she's been trying really hard to give me the cold shoulder. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. That surgery affects her in no way, shape or form. It's not a case of withholding information about a chronic degenerative health issue that will cost you thousands of dollars, will require rearranging her life plan and will turn her into your caretaker. That's something a long-term partner should know. She did not need to know about this sort of issue any more than she needs to know every time you had a temperature, broke a bone or twisted your ankle in your life. ETA, some stats to put things in perspective. Up to 1 in 5 newborns will present an umbilical hernia and 90% of the cases resolve on their own by the time the child is 4 to 5 years old. So even though genetics can increase the incidence, the condition is too common and generally benign. Not the a-hole. Surgery at age 4 for an umbilical hernia is hardly a deep, dark secret needing disclosure. It's not like it's ongoing or affecting your relationship now. It feels like an overreaction on her part to expect you to have mentioned it. A, how would I bring that up? True. Not the a-hole on this alone. You were 4 and probably do remember a thing. B, my medical history is my business and my business only. False. You are married, and if you are incapacitated, she has to be able to answer medical questions of your behalf. You two have a duty to each other to set each other up for success, and that means sharing detailed medical information. You don't really believe it's none of her business. She just put you on the spot. DHD treated you with suspicion. Use this conversation as a launching point to take care of your health and hers and share detailed medical info. Also, now is a great time to get detailed family medical history before family members start dying. I've been married almost 25 years to my husband and still find out random things, injuries, jobs, etc. It's not something to get angry about, so maybe explore with her the root of that issue. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for a painting I asked my friend to do? My 27F friend, Jordan, 28F, is a wonderful artist. I love her work, so I told her that if she ever considered doing commission pieces, I wanted to be her first customer. She said okay, and I sent her a picture of my dad who passed away as a reference. I wanted to give this painting to my mom as a gift. This was back in early 2018. Jordan said she would start on it when she could, but that she was busy. I just thought she did not want to do any commission work yet and just left it at that. A few weeks after our conversation, Jordan posted on social media saying that she was open to do commission pieces and posted how she would charge for those pieces. I messaged her again and she said that she got my order and was starting the piece for me. Per her post, I assumed the piece would be around $200. She also said she was charging her clients around that much, so I should expect to pay about the same. She said she didn't want me to pay until after she was done, so I didn't. For the last 6 years, she would post the other commission pieces she had done. When I asked about mine, she would say she's working on it but she hasn't had the time to finish it. She often lost her job, was looking for a new place to stay, etc. I understood that times could be hard, so I waited. The reason I didn't just stop asking her was because she would sometimes send me Snapchats or sneak peeks of the painting, so I knew she was working on it little by little. Well, flash forward to last weekend, she finally gave it to me. It is a beautiful painting of my dad and I cried looking at it. She then told me it was $700. I was not prepared to pay that much. I told her that when she started doing commissions, she was charging her clients $200 to $300. She responded saying that she realized her work was worth more, and also the cost of supplies had gone up since then, plus the amount of time spent working on it. I thought it was unfair to charge me so much given I waited years for this painting. Also within the last 6 years, I had gotten married, bought a house, and have 2 young children. I do not just have $700 to spare on this painting. She told me that it isn't her fault that I can't afford it and refused to give it to me until I could pay her. I told her to just keep it since I didn't not have the money for it. She called me a jerk for wasting her time on this and left. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. She took 6 years to finish it and yet raised the price hundreds of dollars. She took advantage of your friendship. In my opinion, you aren't the jerk here. I was so ready to vote the other way based on the title, but you are absolutely not the a-hole. The second, and I mean the second she decided that her work was worth more, she should have contacted you and discussed the particulars. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I'm all for artists and creatives being paid fairly, but I feel like Jordan should have set her new price to you, and the price is fine, and checked you could pay that before she went ahead. Not the a-hole. My wife is an artist who often takes commissions. She sets prices and timelines before she starts actually working on a piece, because that's what professionals do. Not the a-hole. I mean, if you want to go the actual business way. 6 years delay. I would tell her that sure, $700 and then you will deduct $100 a year of delay. So $100. This is in all seriousness a lose-lose situation. You want the painting but it's worthless to her because it's of your dad, so it's very specific and would be hard to sell to other people, I'm guessing. Either try to talk reason with her or just live with having to pay that. If you want to be petty, say that you can pay her $200 now and then the rest over time and then wait 6 years to pay the rest. Edit, loose change to lose because words and stuff. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not acting happy when my wife saw me on our morning commute? So I, 31M, was driving to work this morning and I'm getting close to my exit. I'm driving along in the middle lane, past this slower car in the right lane, and I'm about to switch lanes when the car in the right lane suddenly speeds up, blocking my access to that lane. Automatically, I'm annoyed and I look over to see what the hell is wrong with that driver. Turns out it's my wife, 30F, and she's smiling and waving, happy to see me on her way to work. I don't wave back or smile. Keep in mind I'm already annoyed at the driver speeding up to block my way, trying to make my exit, and caught by surprise to see my wife. My wife sends me a message when she gets to work saying she was sad I didn't wave back, but I figured she was joking and forgot about it. Later tonight, she brought it up and we ended up having a mini argument over it. Turns out her feelings were actually hurt by me not acting happy to see her. From my point of view, I was kind of annoyed because I could have missed my exit or worse, gotten in an accident. I just don't think the freeway at 7 a.m. is the place to do that. From her point of view, she was trying to make a connection and show love and I didn't reciprocate that. Am I the a-hole for not waving back to my wife on the freeway when I was trying to change lanes and make my exit? Top comments. You are the a-hole, but not for being caught off guard, but rather for initially ignoring her when she said she was sad. She made 2 bids for your attention that morning, and both were ignored/rebuffed. You are the a-hole. We need to cherish our wives, man. Life is short. You have a built-in best friend and lover who supports you and loves you. This is a rarity. I know how frustrating the daily commute is, but you can't let those inconsiderate and entitled drivers bother you. It isn't worth it. Try to make every day count and share that with your wife. There's too much hate in the world. Combat it by prioritizing her and making her happy. You are the a-hole because instead of reassuring your wife that you even like her, you decided to argue with her about your God-given right to straight up ignore her whenever you're grumpy at traffic. Also, you're a crappy driver who tried to hurry up and pass someone right before your exit, and then you're all pissy traffic doesn't move out of your way fast enough. Honestly, I would have called my hubby right away and been like, why you driving like an a-holy? Edit, if I was the OP and my hubby did this to me, then I would call him ASAP to be like, what the F? Honestly, I would have given him a look like, what are you doing? She was being dangerous for sure, but it's a ridiculous reason to be fighting in my opinion. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my wedding because she did not follow the color scheme? When I 25F was 9, my parents adopted my sister, Jen, who was 7 at the time. Jen was thin and fearful due to being neglected. We did everything to make her feel loved. We bought her lots of toys. Everything Jen wanted, she got. When my parents asked me to move to the smaller bedroom so Jen could have my room, I was happy to. When they asked if I would let Jen pick the decorations and cake for my upcoming birthday, I agreed. I was so happy to have a sister, and I understood why my parents gave her special treatment. Only the treatment didn't stop. For years, every trip we went on, we had to do what Jen wanted to do. We had to eat where she wanted to eat. And she got to plan all my birthday parties. If she didn't get what she wanted, she threw a tantrum. I still felt loved and cared for by my parents. They drove me to practices, bought me things, cooked meals for me, spent quality time and gave me advice, but I was always second to Jen. As I got older, I did anything I could to leave the house. I got my first job when I was 12. I vacationed with friends instead of family. I played 3 different sports and did band. I took my driver's test the day I turned 16 and bought a car the day after. I went to college on the other side of the country. Now that I make good money, I do things I missed as a child. I take fancy vacations and throw elaborate parties as I please. My wedding was no exception. My fiancé, Kip, and I wanted everything to be perfect. We thought it would be fun to have a color scheme. My favorite color is yellow, and his is blue, so my guests would wear yellow, his would wear blue, and mutual friends would wear green. I picked out a dress with green embroidered details, and he picked a boutonniere with green flowers. When Jen found out about this, she was mad. I didn't know this, but she hates yellow and it washes her out. She told me under no circumstances would she wear yellow. I shrugged and said that was fine, I would just kick her out if she did not wear yellow. There was no further discussion, but on my wedding day Jen came in a purple dress. I told her to leave immediately. The color scheme was perfect and she ruined it. Jen refused to leave until I threatened to call security. The rest of the wedding went smoothly, but afterwards my parents were furious with me for kicking Jen out. I told them that I warned her she would be kicked out if she didn't follow the color scheme, but they said they all thought it was a joke. They said it was cruel of me to kick my sister out over something so trivial. I told them this was my wedding that I threw without their support, so I can kick out whoever I want to. Kip came rushing to defend me and even told my parents they should be ashamed of how they treated me, but over the past few days, a lot of people I've talked to, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, have been mixed. Some say they wouldn't have even invited Jen if they were me, while others think I should have let it slide. Am I the a-hole? Edit, contest mode is over and I can finally edit. I want to make a few things clear. 1. I figured people would assume this, but I did not ask my guests to dress head to toe in their assigned color. I completely understand that people might not have yellow formal wear laying around. I said to dress in only neutral colors and/or your assigned color, so someone could wear a black dress and yellow jewelry, a black suit and a yellow tie, etc., but no colors outside neutral or your assigned color. 3. I invited Jen because she is family, and I honestly thought she was more mature than this. I did not know she hated the color yellow when I chose the color scheme. Update, first, thanks for all of your comments. I felt so guilty the past few days and was worried it would carry into my honeymoon, but you have helped me realize that I am not the bad guy and it is okay that I responded the way I did. Last night my parents reached out to me and asked if all the things Kip said about how they should be ashamed were true. At that point I told them how my upbringing had impacted me, and how my wedding was supposed to make up for the parties I never had as a kid, the decisions I never got to make. For the first time, I was able to call all of the shots and make everything exactly the way I wanted it to be. I even showed them this post and how most of you responded to help reinforce what I said. My parents said they had absolutely no idea how deeply their treatment had affected me. This is somewhat fair because I never really talked to them about it, but at the same time, I feel like they should have wondered why I left home as soon as I could, never came back, and hardly ever texted/called them. They said they feel so sorry about it, and are now planning a vacation with them, myself, and Kip for next summer to make up for it. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but at least now it looks like they're making an effort. As for Jen, according to my parents, she really struggled to make friends in middle school and high school. I didn't know this because I practically lived with my high school boyfriend my sophomore/junior year of high school and then graduated early, and Jen repeated a year in elementary school due to trauma, so we were 5 grades apart despite only being 2.5 years apart. My parents tried putting her in therapy, but she wouldn't cooperate. College was a slap in the face for her when she realized the world didn't revolve around her. She had to live in the same 7x9 room with plaster walls and linoleum floors as everyone else. She dropped out after a year and tried getting a job, but got fired after a few months. At that point my parents realized they really kept up. They told Jen she had to either go to intensive therapy or they would kick her out. According to my parents, she's now taking classes at a community college and hoping to transfer to a 4-year institution. She's doing better for the most part, though she occasionally lashes out. I'm glad Jen is getting the help she needs and working towards a career, and excited about potentially going on a trip with my parents and husband, while also knowing they might bail. I'm open to having more of a relationship with them, but I don't think we'll ever be a super tight-knit family. Some wounds are too deep. But instead of dwelling on the past, I'm looking towards my future, starting a family with Kip, and making sure I don't make the same mistakes my parents did. Top comments. Not the a-hole. The question here isn't whether or not a color scheme is stupid. It very well could be, but it's also becoming the norm. And frankly, if you don't like it, you don't have to attend the event. But what you don't get to do is say a color scheme is stupid, so I'll make up my own rules and force the couple being married to let me in. Jen was stupid here. Opie, you did the right thing in kicking her out. Her feelings, that she can dictate the rules for your wedding, aren't any worse than you having those rules in place. In short, F Jen, she got what she wanted in the end. Not the a-hole. I have been to weddings where the bride and groom wanted a color scheme. To date I have not known of anyone who had such a problem that they showed up in a different color just for spite. Because make no mistake about it, that is exactly why your sister showed up in purple, pure spite. If the color yellow was really the problem, she could have asked to wear blue. Instead, she showed up in purple with the express intention of upstaging the bride and groom and causing a scene, knowing all the time that your parents would back her up. Your parents have been crappy to you ever since your sister showed up. Time to call them and your sister out for their obnoxious behavior and blatant favoritism. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.